Hopefully you've had a good nourishment. We want to get things started again. And this is our 16th induction ceremony to the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame. Our Hall of Fame recognizes those graduates, former faculty, families, various teams, and friends of the Academy who have made a difference in this institution and or distinguished themselves in their chosen field. The group that gets this going every year are members of the Hall of Fame Executive Committee. They represent a combined 244 years of association with the Academy. They include current faculty Michelle Cross, Joe Daly, class of 77, Matt Burgess, class of 88, Rick Marcella, legendary coach, and retired faculty Phil Gopel, class of 66, Bill Pierce, Peter Gately, and Ken Whitney. And if we might want to take a moment and also recognize some of the previously inducted members of the Hall of Fame. If you would stand and be recognized, that would be nice. Before beginning the ceremony, I'd like to invite U.S. Army Veteran Academy trustee and member of the class of 1980, Dave Nolan, who was inducted into our Hall of Fame in 2018 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dave?
Actually, Tom left out that the reason I'm invited here is because I'm the only active duty member of the North Bridgton militia. So I'm called on to do all these ceremonies. Now please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now I'd like to turn the program over to Jessica Priola, our Director of Institutional Advancement, who will be serving as the Stevens MC. And I'll find my tongue someplace here.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jessica Priola. I have been working here at the Academy for, I think, 16 years, so have gotten to see a number of these Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, and they're always very, very special for us, so we're really excited for tonight. Due to the pandemic, this Hall of Fame class was actually supposed to be inducted in 2020, and so we've been on hiatus for a little bit, and it's the first time in the last 3 years that we're able to actually hold the event. We had wanted to obviously do this a little bit earlier, but circumstances kept making that not so easy to do, and it was important to us. We didn't want to host a virtual event, and we wanted to be able to have this induction when we were able to be all together in person. So again, we're very excited to celebrate the remarkable achievements of the Bridgton Academy 2022 Hall of Fame class. As you will soon hear, this year's class has made a tremendous impact not only on Bridgton Academy, but also on their communities. Tonight's inductees have embodied the Bridgton spirit and in both their actions and words, and have helped us to fulfill our mission. With that, I am pleased to turn the podium over to Matt Burgess, class of 1988, a founding Hall of Fame committee member, teacher, and coach, who will introduce this evening's first inductee. Matt, come on up.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you, Tom, and folks. I'm glad that the Hall of Fame is back on campus as well. It's been far, far too long. As an instructor of anatomy and physiology, practitioner of strength and conditioning programs, and an Avery disciple, I'm honored to introduce a BA brother and fellow Springfield College alum into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame. Hailing from Massachusetts, Bob Axtell arrived on campus in 1970. During his time at the Academy, he took advantage of the many opportunities offered to him here as a member of the baseball, ski, and soccer teams, singing in the Glee Club, and as a member of the Stranger. After Bob matriculated to Springfield College, where he earned his bachelor's degree, his education did not stop there, however. He went on to earn a master's degree from the University of Indiana Bloomington and a PhD from the Ohio State University. I want to make sure I get the "the" in there. Like that. Right. With a passion for athletics and expertise in exercise science, it should come to no surprise that Bob has spent a great deal of time coaching and teaching a variety of topics related to physical education at collegiate institutions such as Indiana University, Berkshire Community College, and Southern Connecticut State University, where he has been employed for more than 3 decades. In addition to his work in the classroom and on the field, Bob is the author of several articles that have been published in scholarly journals. I took a minute to look a couple of them up, Bob. Right? And some of you folks in this room are going to appreciate some of the titles. Physiology Indices of Elite Junior Alpine Skiers. Bill Gator, right for you. Changes in lower body muscular performance following an NCAA Division I men's lacrosse season. All you lax guys in the back row there, I saw you. Right? I also heard some creaking knees coming in here, Smitty. All right? Here you go. The effect of knee joint alignment on isokinetic torque production during leg extension and flexion exercises. All right? And last but not least, for all of us looking to live a healthy and active older life, fish oil supplementation is associated with improved physical function and reduced mobility disability. So take your vitamins, everybody. Right? Bob has proved it's a good idea. So those are just a few of the dozens of published articles that you can find with one little Google Scholar search. And as an educator, I feel it's always important to stay up on my research, so I checked them out. They were good. I'll use some of the class. Bob has been a member of the American College of Sports Medicine for more than 40 years and belongs to its New England chapter. His work has been recognized by the ACSM with accolades such as being elected the president of the New England chapter and receiving New England chapter's Honor Award. He has also been named a fellow of the National Chapter of the American College of Sports Medicine. Bob has kept in touch with his Wolverine family over the years, sharing his expertise with our students and staff. Whenever we know a Wolverine is headed to SCSU and planning on studying exercise science, I always tell him to find Dr. Axtell for a friendly face in the academic community there. Bob is being inducted into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame as a contributor for his valuable contributions in his chosen profession of exercise science. Bob, please join me at the podium. I'd also like to ask the head of school, Marty Moody, to come up.
And just one, I think just you. Just you. Look at that. Tip it down just a little bit more. Perfect. Give me a big smile. Thank you.
I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this tremendous honor. I want to congratulate all the honorees tonight on their tremendous accomplishments over their career. My year here back in 1970 was a second chance for me. I don't think I took advantage of the opportunities in high school, and so having the discipline of having to attend that study hall, I know you do it still, from it was 7:30 to 9:30, really gave me the discipline and the understanding that I had to really buckle down and concentrate. And I took that with me to Springfield. I think some of my classmates at Springfield, when they would go to find me, I'd be on the 3rd floor of the library from probably 7:30 to 11 o'clock each night. And I did that in Indiana and at Ohio State. As I was walking around the campus today, I noticed one of the new signs that weren't here when we were here by Benjamin Franklin, talking about persistence. And I think that's what I've done in my career. I'm not the most talented. I'm probably not the most knowledgeable, but I think I've persisted throughout my career. And I try to pass that on to our students, come in contact with lots of students over my close to 40 years now. at Southern. Rob Eggerling, I don't know if Coach Marcella coached him. He's on our football staff now, I see him daily. He's another example of that same kind of persistence. He's a great coach. The guys really respond well to him. And I tried to pass that persistence to some of the faculty that I've recruited, that were some of my former students now that I work with on a daily basis. So I try to lead by example. And I think that example was taught to me by Coach Avery here and Randy Greason. He was I think this was his first year teaching English. I was not a good writer, and he helped me become one. So I think just the self-discipline that I learned during that first year has carried on. To this day, my wife and daughter know I go in early, I come home late, because I got to get the job done, and it takes a lot of time. So very appreciative of the honor, and if I can ever do anything for your students, please send them our way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bob, and congratulations. Short battery change, just one moment, please. Drop the mic. Yeah, mic drop, yeah. All right, we're back in action. Okay. Congratulations again, Bob. So our next inductee is Len Hathaway, and I am pleased to invite Dave Nolan to the stage, or the podium area, to introduce Len. Dave. Thanks.
Good evening. As they asked me to induct Len, I thought that I really need to do some introspection on this. And I was thinking that, you know, we love to say this is the year that makes a difference. And I think that's truth in advertising, and it's real, but it's very finite. It's just 1 year. You only have 1 year of the year that makes a difference. So how do I honor a guy like Len? You know, just 1 year. And I was thinking, if I were to have to describe the year that makes a difference, it's a two-step process. First step is they teach you how not to lose. So learning how not to lose is just a participation trophy, but it's the foundation. So you get up every day, you make your bed, you go where you're supposed to be, whether it's classroom or the athletic field, and you be fully prepared when you're there. And that's easy, but it becomes habit forming. And about halfway through the year, you've got the habit of not losing, which is a very good habit. And then unknowingly this continues until you develop the habit of winning. So you've been through the year that made a difference, you're now leaving here with winning habits. So what happens to the rest of your life? Well, what you do is you develop the life that makes a difference. And so you spend the next 30, 40 years making people's lives better, improving people's lives, having impact in people's lives. So the end result of Bridgton is the lives that make a difference. Len spent his senior year at Bridgton when it was still a 4-year academy. He's a two-sport athlete, playing in hockey and baseball, but his prowess was in hockey. Following his time at Bridgton, Len enrolled at the University of Rhode Island, where he earned a degree in business. Shortly after graduation, Len began serving in the U.S. Army as a member of the 3rd Infantry Division in Germany, Rock of the Marne, ultimately earning the Army Commendation Medal as a first lieutenant. And let me tell you, I served at the end of the Cold War, which was totally different in the middle of the Cold War, and you've got to put yourself in young Len's shoes. I mean, the Russians are ready to come through the Fulda Gap, we used to call them Ivan and the Evil Horde. We would run up to the Fulda Gap to scare them, and they would run up to the other end of the Fulda Gap to scare us, and nobody ever knew whether we were just trying to scare each other or whether they were actually coming through. And the U.S. Army at that time in Europe, the game plan was, you're all speed bumps, slow down the Russians until we can send the rest of the army over there and fight. So it's a pretty hectic experience for a young man. Thanks for your service. His talent on the ice, however, landed Len a spot in the U.S. Army Europe hockey team, which provided him an opportunity to face off against teams from across Europe, as well as the U.S. Olympic hockey team. Upon returning to civilian life, Len resumed working in began working in the fire protection industry. He would spend his career in this field, which took him around not just the country, but also the world. Len's work in fire safety was nationally renowned. He served as chairman of the National Fire Protection Association Technical Committee on Electric Generating Plants and Nuclear Power Plants, as well as being honored with his Special Achievement Award. Generous with his time, Len has volunteered for several organizations, such as Habitat for Humanity, the JCs, and an organization I know is especially proud of, Honor Flight. Len has remained a loyal alumnus, fondly recalling the difference between attending Bridgton Academy made in his life. In July 1965, one of Len's classmates, Al Harry, was a naval aviator killed in a training accident. Len, at that time, established along with other family members of Al's, established the Alexander D. Harry 58 Memorial Commencement Award. Len also had another brush with history, as when he was in Europe, he had an acquaintance with Herb Brooks, who later became the legendary coach of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, which, for those of you who don't know, was probably the greatest upset in sports history, as college students from around America defeated the Russian Army hockey team, considered to be the greatest in the world. Len has touched thousands of lives, and a lot of lives that never met Len, never saw Len, but their lives were affected by the results of Len's work. It is my distinct privilege and honor to induct Len into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame as a contributor for distinguishing himself in the chosen profession of fire protection and safety. Come on up. Okay.
Yep, just tip that forward a little. Perfect. Awesome. That's great. Awesome. Can I get one with just you? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me take that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly humbled by this being selected to the VA Hall of Fame. And I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for finding my credentials worthy of this great honor. It's also humbling to be with those who have also being inducted tonight and also had previously been inducted to the Hall of Fame. Much like Bob, I was not planning to go to college when I was in high school. But I came to BA for a postgraduate course, and it was really pulled me up by the bootstraps. And it was just as the theme of BA, it was the year that made the difference. I too benefited from the 2-hour study hall every night that was mandatory, and certainly benefited by that. If you would kind of indulge me here, I'd like to brag a little about my hometown of Cranston, Rhode Island, because by my count, I'm the 4th Cranstonian inducted into the BA Hall of Fame. I was preceded by one of my hockey teammates, Dick Ernst, who distinguished himself as a hockey and tennis coach, high school coach in Rhode Island. I was also preceded by John Welch, who was a classmate of my brother Lee in 1961. And John was the Dean of Business at Northeastern University. And I was also preceded by another gentleman who is here tonight from Cranston, right over here, Rod McGarry, who was in the first Hall of Fame class. Returning to BA brings back a flood of memories. Life was much simpler then. There were no computers. And a hard drive was the trip my parents made from Cranston to BA and back before I-95 was completed. We had no cell phones. In fact, phone calls were so expensive, nobody made phone calls. And staying connected meant at the mid-morning break, rushing down to Herschel Ryerson's store where the post office was to hopefully get a letter from your parents or girlfriend, and they were written in cursive. You only needed one thumb. I'd like to share a couple of other memories with you. Those of you who are hockey players have certainly got a great facility here in the Chalmers Ice Arena. In my day, once the first snow fell, we had to get out and tramp down the snow and then stay out all night and flood it to create a playing surface. And you know how cold it is to play hockey here in the Bridgton winter. Then another memory I have is kind of a sad one, so to speak. It was just before the Christmas holiday break, and my next door neighbor was pounding on our door to wake my roommate and I up early in the morning, and I said, "Look out the window." Looked out the window up at the gym, and flames were shooting 40 or 50 feet above the gym, burning it completely to the ground. After the Christmas break, the restoration contractor hired myself and a few others to remove the debris. And years later, I would wonder if that experience had a subliminal impact on my career in fire protection, where I helped our clients and their architects and engineers to avoid such catastrophic events. I also had two memorable teammates. You've already heard, classmates. You've already heard about two of them. One of them, Al Harry, whose life lives on through is what Dave was saying, through a scholarship that's been given for several years. The other classmate also served here at Bridgton. His name is Phil Sonia. He was one of the most influential people in my persons in my life early on. He was not only a classmate at the University of Rhode Island, but he was also a fraternity brother. He went on to have a career in the military, retired as a full colonel, and he would have been a general if it wasn't for a service-connected disability. But that's the kind of people that you meet here. In retrospect, my success was built upon the support of my parents and the values they instilled in me of hard work, conscientiousness, and seeking increasing responsibilities. I've also benefited from the life and support, the love and support of my wife, Margaret, for 56 years, and my son and daughter. So this is a great honor for me, and I thank you all very much for this great honor. Thank you.
I'm Marty Mooney, and I'm the head of school here at Bridgton Academy, and it is my honor to induct Kevin Jones into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame. Before I get into some of his accomplishments, I would just share with you this. I got a phone call from Kevin in February of 2017, and he offered me the position here as head of school, and it's one of the great honors of my life, and I always associate that phone call with a complete change of so much in my life, and to join this wonderful community. And it was a real privilege to have that conversation with you, Kevin, and it remains one. And also, when folks here have anything that they have a problem with, they come to me, and they tell me what that problem is, and they might be excited, they might have, some things to say about it and feel a certain way, and I have to be calm and cool and collected, and that's great, that's my job. But when I feel that way, I would call Kevin, and he'd be able to talk me off the ledge about whatever was going on. And so I'm just grateful for Kevin's work with me and with the Academy as board chair. Kevin made the most of his year up on the Hill, distinguishing himself not only on the field, but also in the classroom. An honor roll student, Kevin was also the recipient of the Buck and Austin Awards at commencement in 1981. Following Bridgton, Kevin furthered his education at the University of New Hampshire, where his remarkable abilities on the gridiron continued to shine. Kevin began his professional life by opening a plumbing supply company. However, he changed trajectory and delved into property management and real estate development in the greater Portsmouth, New Hampshire region. In 2007, Kevin was officially named to the Bridgton Academy Board of Trustees, a role he poured himself into wholeheartedly. His service on the board spanned 12 years, during which he was chairman of the Facilities Committee and elected vice president and then president of the board. Under Kevin's watch, the Academy saw significant investments made in campus grounds and buildings, including the complete renovation of Cleves Hall, remodeling of the Dr. Cyrus T. Hamlin STEM Center, improvements to the Twitchell Memorial Chapel, the installation of a new turf field, and the creation of a first-class baseball facility, and investment into the Academy's physical plant that totaled more than $8 million. Besides his previous tenure as a trustee, Kevin gives back to Bridgton in numerous ways, hosting enrolled student events at his home, calling fellow Wolverine alumni on behalf of the Academy, and simply spending meaningful time with Bridgton faculty members during his many trips to North Bridgton. Kevin is being inducted to the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame in the contributor category for his remarkable service to the Academy's Board of Trustees. Kevin, please join me at the podium.
Awesome. Can I get one with just you? Good. Thank you. Perfect. Oh, you look a little serious. So. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Marty. I really appreciate it. It's always great to be back here on campus, getting a little dose of BA in my life. It's always a good thing. Like many of you, I can still remember my waning days of my senior year in high school, contemplating my not-so-robust college options. I really wanted to go to college and play athletics, but I didn't do a very good job preparing myself academically. One day, a recruiter from the University of New Hampshire named Peter Voss visited my high school. After a brief conversation, he pointed right at me and said, "You need a year at Bridgton Academy." Well, me, all-knowing at the time, thought that was the dumbest idea I ever heard. I went home and told my parents about it, and not surprisingly, they were on board with the Bridgton Academy idea, even going so far as bringing me to an open house in Salem, Massachusetts. Still, I was having none of it. I wanted nothing to do with a small all-boys school on the side of the hill in Maine. It wasn't until an older friend and former high school teammate who recently flunked out of college confided in me that he himself wished he had gone to Bridgton Academy. It was then that I started to think that maybe, just maybe, Coach Voss and my parents were right. It's funny where you find wisdom when you're 18 years old. When I got here to campus, I had a rough go of it in the beginning. I was overwhelmed at every turn. I was merely one of 60 good football players here, and I was woefully unprepared for the classroom. I felt like I was drowning, but thanks to my wonderful supportive teachers like Phil Gopel, Jack Haypenny, Gordon Weeks, Doug Avery, and the dreaded study hall program, all of them helped me not just survive, but thrive in the classroom. The first academic quarter, I even made the honor roll, something unheard of in my previous life. It also earned me the coveted room study privilege, allowing me to study in my room rather than the classroom with the rest of the guys. And boy, did I love bringing that up to my roommate as he walked out the door to study hall. I still remind him about time to time. You can ask him later. All kidding aside, at that point in my life, Bridgton Academy was exactly what I needed. I was given a template that taught me how to work hard at things I didn't necessarily like to do. A different kind of work ethic, a work ethic that I never knew I had. This school, this program had an impact on me that I'll never forget. I left this campus knowing that if I worked hard enough at something, I could do it. And I still feel that way today. In 2007, I was asked to join the Board of Trustees. I said yes, not really having any idea what being a trustee was all about. I'd never been on a board before and was unsure what to expect. There were times again I found myself in over my head here at Bridgton Academy. First as a newly minted trustee, then a committee chair, then eventually as board president. There I was, almost 30 years later, and Bridgton Academy was still teaching me lessons in life and in personal growth. Pretty special place, isn't it? Some of the finest people I've ever had the privilege of knowing I met here on this hill. My aforementioned teachers, my football coaches, Tom Austin, Tom McCabe, Doug Avery, and Chuck Hamady. My dorm parents, Chuck and Jane Hamady, who treated me as one of their own when things got rough for me. I'll never forget how kind you two were to me, how supportive you all were. I was amazed at how much you cared for me and how much you wanted me to succeed. I felt like I could never let you down. I'm embarrassed to say I never really thanked you. So, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all that you did for me. And of course, the biggest thank you goes to my parents, Bob and Elaine Jones. I'm lucky enough to have you both here with me tonight. Thank you for putting up with me when I was a teenager, for not throwing in the towel. I know I wasn't easy. Thank you to all the faculty and staff for the amazing work you did then and continue to do now. It was an absolute privilege to work alongside you for 12 years as a trustee. And finally, thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee for allowing me to follow some amazing individuals into this hall. It certainly is an honor that I'm proud of and one I'll never forget. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations. And I think it's amazing that your parents are here and your brother and everyone else. That's really awesome. Unfortunately, our next inductee could not be with us this evening. However, the reason for his absence will soon become apparent. Jean-Claude Katende's arrival to North Bridgton from Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or the DRC, marked the start of a remarkable educational and professional journey. Jean-Claude spent his senior year at the Academy and was the recipient of the Chadbourne Award in recognition of his outstanding academic achievements, having earned the highest rank in his graduating class. After graduation, Jean-Claude earned a bachelor's degree from Syracuse University, followed by a master's degree from Arizona State University's Thunderbird School of Global Management. Once he completed his studies, Jean-Claude returned to his home country, which was about to experience tremendous political upheaval in the form of a coup, civil war, and violence inflicted by rebel groups that continues to this day. This upheaval and ensuing corruption and exploitation of the country's resources would lead Jean-Claude to become one of the DRC's most vocal advocates for government transparency and a leading human rights defender. Over the course of his career, he has successfully litigated cases resulting in substantial compensation for victims who endured horrific human rights violations. Additionally, his work as president of the African Association for the Defense of Human Rights and as national coordinator for the Publish What You Pay coalition, Jean-Claude has publicly denounced the mismanagement of his country's assets by government authorities for nearly 2 decades. This work has actually resulted in numerous threats to not only Jean-Claude but also his family, yet he continues to push for justice. Jean-Claude Katende, class of 1979, is being inducted into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame in the humanitarian category for his extraordinary work in the field of human rights and transparency in governance. Now we'll hear from fellow Hall of Fame member and former faculty member Peter Gately, who will share a few thoughts about Jean-Claude. Peter?
Good evening. It's great to see a whole bunch of familiar faces out there, and welcome to the new inductees. So well deserved. This is one of the highlights of the year for me to be here and see this happen. Jess and Michelle asked me to speak on Jean-Claude Katende, and there's a couple of other members of the class of 1979 I'm looking at right now that know exactly what I'm going to be talking about. And I want to thank Nordy for confirming some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight. You saw it firsthand, and I'm glad you saw it the same way, my friend. Jean-Claude came here in my second year, okay? So I'm still wet behind the ears following Tom Austin and Avery and everybody around trying to figure this place out. And my first year in Cleves Hall, we had 3 Bermudian guys living in the corner. And, they were not from the country, but they spoke English. Right, so I got an idea that Bridgton Academy is a pretty diverse place in terms of students. Second year I'm there, here comes walking through the door this young man, Jean-Claude Katende. Now, he's from Zaire, right? I know a little bit about Zaire from Muhammad Ali and fighting over there, but his native language is French. He didn't speak very much English. And he jumped into the pool, did the full-on cannonball into the BA experience. And as you look at students come here at the academy, guys figure out who's real and who's not. And they supported Jean-Claude because they understood that this guy was all in. He was fully committed to his time at the academy, and he did so in a very humble way. He had a very calm demeanor, perpetual smile on his face. But he worked, and he worked really hard. And that's a piece of courage that is almost unfathomable to me. I can't imagine going to Yugoslavia and jumping into school and trying to succeed, but here's a young man that came out first in his class as a senior academically. And he didn't hesitate from becoming involved with Bridgton Academy from day one. He was at the outing club, right? He was jumping through the ice. He did all sorts of things up there. And he's a really interesting individual. One of the classic stories I remember tonight from Bill and Lee Burse, who happened to be his dorm master in Mass Hall. And this just shows you a little bit about Jean-Claude and his academic ability. As Jess said, he had a great college career, went to Syracuse, then went to Arizona State, was it? He got a master's there. You're not doing that unless you got your academic cards in order and you got a little bit of ability on the IQ scale. So what does he do? He does the same thing that everybody else does here, take the SATs, right? So he takes his SATs, he gets his results back, and you guys were running down the post office, ripping that envelope open, right? So Bill told me this story, and he reiterated it tonight for me. It's a classic story. Jean-Claude's in the dorm, and everybody's going, yeah, I got this, I got that, I got this, and somebody goes, what did you get on your SAT scores? And Jean-Claude goes, I got an 800 on my French, my French, what do they call it, supplemental, right? Okay, you got 800, so the kid goes, yeah, you got 800, of course you got 800, it's your native language. He goes, I could get 800 if that was my native language as well. So the kid goes, and he starts walking away, and Jean-Claude goes, wait a minute, what'd you get on your English for? He outscored the kid by about 200 points on his English for in his second language, right? But I think one of the things that I always enjoy about learning people that come into this august body as a Hall of Fame member, I know about some of them, but I learn so much more about them as they go through their lives. And that's one of the great things about being a faculty member here, is you get to see guys go through their lives and create their own pathway. And one of the things that stood out, and it's a word that Nordy and I used together about this young man, was courage. Courage. Imagine coming here, opening the door without speaking English, right? Nobody else from France is here, right? But he jumped in and he understood this was a supportive place. But I dare say, I don't know of too many other Hall of Fame inductees that have used the word courage in such a courageous way. He is facing untold prosecution and pressure on his life in the Republic of the Congo for his stance on something that's incredibly important to him, yet he continues to do that. It's unfathomable to me, and I'm so pleased to be able to talk to you people about Jean-Claude and just a glimpse into one of the most amazing guys that walked through this door in my time. Thank you.
Let's go this way.
Okay.
Take care if you do this. Tip that down just a little bit. Yep, that's good. Thank you.
Congratulations to Jean-Claude Katende. I'd now like to ask Tom Austin to return to the podium to introduce our next Hall of Famer. Tom Austin.
Thank you, Jess. Well, Katende, isn't it amazing? Think of going someplace that you have no clue what the country's about, let alone speak the language. Oh, yes, I'm here. That speaks well of that gentleman, let me tell you. Well, I'm here to introduce a gentleman named Tim Morris, a proud Melrose, Massachusetts native who arrived at Bridgton with his sights set on attaining his goals on the gridiron. He played for us in 1978 and became known among the football staff and teammates for his coachability, attention to detail, and I might emphasize intensity. You needed to get out of this gentleman's way. Following his graduation, as Dr. Askill, he went to Springfield College, where he played offensive guard for 4 years. Tim was thankful to have the opportunity to begin his career back in his hometown and high school alma mater, after graduating. He has dedicated his entire professional career, which began in 1983, to Melrose High School. His time at Melrose began as a freshman line coach. The following year, he was promoted to the varsity coaching staff and ultimately became head coach in 1994. And he became the first Melrose native to play for and then come back and lead the Red Raiders. That's not something that happens every day. Under his leadership, the team and players experienced unprecedented success, first capturing the Middlesex League title and also securing a place as that league's co-champion. In 2017, after 24 years of coaching at Melrose and 3 previous efforts at winning in 1982, 2014, and 2015, the team and a proud Coach Morris captured their first ever state title. With the state title and Massachusetts high school football Super Bowl under his belt, it wasn't surprising that Coach Morris's leadership and character was recognized. Among other accolades, he was been named Boston Globe Coach of the Year, 3-time Patriot Coach of the Year, and 4-time Middlesex League Coach of the Year. Not bad. In addition to his leadership of the football program, he also served as the school's teacher, track coach, and assistant wrestling coach. The mark that Bridgton Academy made on Tim's life more than 40 years ago has not been forgotten. Throughout his tenure as a coach and teacher, he has referred numerous young men to Bridgton so that they too could better prepare themselves for the rigors of college and beyond. Tim Morris is being inducted to the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame in the faculty coach category for his contribution as a coach to the sport of football. Tim, would you please join me at the podium?
Where do you want us to go?
Right, that's perfect. Awesome. Okay, right here, fellas. Okay, and just you for a sec. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach Austin. I want to also congratulate the rest of the inductees tonight. John Claude, I mean, the stuff that I did is nothing compared to this guy, the human rights warrior that this guy is. John Claude, well, that's awesome. I want to thank the committee for this honor as well. I am a very proud Bridgton Academy alum. I came here, much like many of my peers at the time. I was a good high school football player. I was not a very good student, and I got hurt my senior year. So I arrived here rather angry, with a chip on my shoulder, to play football here and try to get to college. And I quickly learned why Bridgton Academy is so special. And it's not the beautiful main scenery, although that is awesome. It certainly wasn't the food at the time. It's great now. And it wasn't our facilities, because back then our facilities were not what they are now either. We picked rocks off this field the first night we were here, and we practiced on the other side of the hill in a cow pasture. And you've already heard about the rink. So, but it was none of those things. Bridgton Academy was about the people. And for me, it started with Coach Austin, who took a bunch of guys from around the Northeast, pretty good football players, and put it together very quickly. I'd never been on a team that bonded so quickly, and we were good. And, you know, we were so good, we went down to BC, we beat them. But Coach Austin and the other coaches coached us hard. But he did it with respect. And that, for me, that was a little new. It was not gonna be like high school. The further I got into the year, I learned the people are the program at Bridgton Academy. It's not, you know, the year that makes the difference, it's the people here that make the difference. And it started with Coach Austin. My position coach, Chuck Hamady, a technician, a great offensive line coach, Weedsy, Coach Avery, who was my A&P teacher, who I used his humor in the classroom as a teacher for 36 years all the time. I mean, that's how Coach Abe got your attention and kept the class's attention. Yeah, Weeksy, you know, Uke, Jack Haypenny and Sally Haypenny. I mean, the list goes on. My dorm parents were Peter Gately and his wife, and we were just talking about, when I saw Peter when we came in, we were talking about a incident that happened in the dorm that I had to trade my roommate, and I think we got Larry Lawler instead of the guy who was with me. And but you know, everybody, I was amazed at how much people cared about you here, and I think that is the secret sauce of Bridgton Academy. Does it help that we were in one of the most beautiful parts in the world? Yes, but it's the people. It was like that then, it's like that now. And there's other imitations out there. People try to do what we do, but they can't do it. You know, we got a, you know, college schedule, this and that. They can't do it because they don't have the people who care, who go above and beyond. When I was probably, you know, late in the February or March, our head of schools at the time, Bob Walker, I had a meeting with him, and he said, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I think I want to be a teacher and a coach. And he says, well, there's only one place for you to go, and that's Springfield College. And he was right. There's a lot of Springfield guys here tonight. And I went there. I played 4 years of football. I got a degree in history. I got a license to teach. And I went back home to Melrose. And I've been there ever since as the head coach. Another thing that I got from Bridgton Academy was, you know, friendships. I met a guy from Ashland, Massachusetts, Jim Norton, who's been my best friend for 43 years, and we were roommates at Springfield College and teammates. I have probably the most family here, as well as Norty, tonight, because my kids, my brothers, my wife, they know how important Bridgton Academy is to me. And you know, how's a high school football coach get here on a Friday night? We played last night. You know? So, in closing, I just, Coach Austin, I love you. I didn't have to do much in the way of, you know, I was never a GA or anything. I just followed the playbook from Bridgton Academy, all right? Just be like Coach Austin, be like Coach Ace, be like the Hammer. Those guys were the best coaches I ever had. And, you know, I talked to Coach over the years at clinics, on the recruiting trail, wherever. And it was,
you know, I always asked advice and stuff, and it was, you know, coach, I just became the head coach, or who should I hire? It doesn't matter, you know, just hire guys that are good to the kids. You can teach them what you want, football-wise, just hire good guys. You know, coach your kids like they're your own sons. Hey, you don't have to go get a book. Just, you know, I lived it here. These guys know what they're doing. And anyway, my family's here. My brother Tommy, my brother Mike are here. My sister-in-law, Susan. Of course, my beautiful wife, and my 2 out of my 3 kids. And those little babies back there, those are some of my grandchildren, the best grandchildren. Boy, I don't know how you made it through this thing, but anyway, the final thing I just got to tell you that my oldest son is Michael Austin Morris, and in our family we name, you know, that my father always had a saying, remember where you're from. I'm not only from Melrose, I'm from Bridgton Academy. And I named my son after Coach Austin. My son Sean's here as well. He's a police officer in Melrose. I know I'm going over 5 minutes, but anyway. My brother Rob's also here from Phillips Exeter. He's a coach too. Anyway, thank you, Bridgton. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim, and the grandkids, I think, were cheering so hard back there for you, which is awesome to see. Our next inductee is Rick Mullins, and for Rick's induction, I'd like to ask Tom McCabe, former faculty member, class of 1972, to come on up for the next introduction. Mr. McCabe. Yes, yeah.
Hey gang, this is a hoot being back here. I tell you, this is so much fun, and you know, to look around, to see the guys, the faculty, students, guys that were my mentors, my teachers, and the way I modeled my career, college classmates, and former players. Just this means so much, and it's hard to top Tim because he's one of those guys that it comes from right here. I have known Tim for many years, and our connection has been this place, and I think our friendship has some strong roots because of that. Happy to be here, but to the point, Rick Mullins. Rick, who is this going to go ahead and read this here, I guess. Hey, delighted to introduce our next honoree, Rick Mullins. In the fall of 1987, Rick chose to come to Bridgton to improve as a student athlete, joining the ranks of the lacrosse and football teams. That year, Rick earned all New England honors in lacrosse, played in the North-South All-Star game, and earned the Sportsmanship Award at commencement. His stellar abilities on the lacrosse field gained Rick acceptance to UMass Amherst, where he was a starter for the Minutemen beginning his freshman year. And I might point out that would have started probably for 4 years on their football team as well. He was an unbelievable punter, halfback. Believe it or not, you'll see Rick in a minute, but he was about a 4.4 40 back then. Could run, was tough, and followed a great line of guys from Concord Carlisle High School. As one of the most respected teammates in his time at Amherst, Rick was named All-American in 1990, 1991. He was also a 3-time All-New England selection and the only unanimous selected All-New England player in his junior year. In the time since his graduation from UMass, Rick has remained involved with the sport of lacrosse, For several years, he coached at Bowdoin College with me. He was my assistant for about 10 years as a volunteer and was really the strength of our coaching staff. Unbelievable. So needless to say, we became very close and good friends over the years. Rick was imagine this, University of Massachusetts was a 3-time captain. That's unheard of. I don't know if anybody at the collegiate ranks, has been a captain for 3 years. That's unbelievable. And more recently, Rick was named to the Concord Carlisle High School Hall of Fame, not only for his amazing contributions to their football and lacrosse teams while a student there, but also for his achievements at Bridgton, the collegiate level, and beyond. I had a chance one time to watch a game. I had a day off. At Bowdoin, I think I was at Bowdoin, had a day off, and Rick was playing Syracuse University, and I think they were national champs that year. And he played their top attackman and just kind of humbled them. And that was up on the hill in Amherst. But and I think it was a 10-9 game, Rick. It was a great game. These days, Rick holds a unique position with the Portland, Maine Fire Department. After working as a firefighter for the city for 16 years, he accepted a position as fireboat pilot in the fire department Marine Division. In this critical role, Rick captains the fireboat that provides fire protection and emergency medical services to the islands of Portland, in Portland Harbor and Casco Bay. Rick has stayed involved with Bridgton Academy since graduating in 1988. His Wolverine loyalty runs deep. He is quick to share with others the impact in his year at Bridgton Academy and the year it had on his life. Rick is being inducted into the Bridgton Hall of Fame in the athlete category for his outstanding achievement and success in the sport of lacrosse. Rick, please make your way to the podium.
Hang on one second. One more. Excellent. And I'll just grab you real quick. Thank you.
I have a couple, I prepared a statement because I don't want to miss anybody. But I want to echo the study hall. Very important in my life. It really changed. Those 2 hours, the discipline I gained from that was very important. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Marty. Congratulations to the other inductees. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you to Michelle, Jessica, Tom, Matt, and everyone else at BA tonight who made tonight and this weekend possible. I'm fortunate. I feel like it's a special kind of fortunate. It's lucky. I guess prepare yourself because you're going to hear the term lucky quite often in the next minute or two. Before Bridgton, I was surrounded by a loving family, supportive community, and great friends. One friend in particular was my high school science teacher, and he was also my football coach. His name was Al Robichaud. He's the BA class of 1952, BA Hall of Fame 2003. I was a high energy, unfocused kid that was motivated by sports. Seems to be a general theme around here. I'm lucky and thankful that Coach understood my type and highly recommended Bridgton Academy. I was lucky that my parents were so loving and supportive that they enabled me to come here. At Bridgton, I was lucky to have dorm parents named Tom and Pat McCabe, and lucky to have dorm siblings named Ben and Jenna. Lucky to have coaches named McCabe, Daly, Marcella, Speed, Lenfest, and Avery. Lucky to have teachers named Gately, Terry, and Westcott. Lucky to have a chef named Sandy. I'm not sure how long Sandy was here, but he was fantastic. Lucky to have a postmaster named Martha Flynn. And lastly, lucky to have good friends and teammates. Too many to name, but 3 of them are here tonight, in John Bayreuther, Matt Burgess, and Scott Bell. In college, I was lucky to be coached by the best and play alongside the best. And after college, I had a job opportunity that I was able to move to Maine, which I thought was lucky. I chose to settle in the Brunswick area, knowing that the McCabe family had made the move from Bridgton to Bowdoin. Lucky. I'm beyond lucky to be married to my wife, Purdy, and to be Max and Ivy's dad. And finally, thank you to BA and the amazing people at the BA family for helping me change the trajectory of my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much and congratulations, Rick. I would now like to invite Dave LePage, our assistant head of school, 2-time Bridgton Academy parent, who will introduce the next honoree.
Everybody, congratulations to the inductees. I was sitting over there looking at, just so interested in the yearbook pictures. Bet you're all proud of those. Brad Smith. In 1991, when Brad Smith took an unexpected phone call from the Academy, he had no way of knowing it would lead to nearly 20 years of service at Bridgton. Before coming to the Academy, Brad had acquired significant experience across the country and state of Maine as a teacher, coach, athletic director, and assistant principal, all of which uniquely positioned him to take the helm of Bridgton athletics. Although he was hired as the Academy's athletic director, he also served as head baseball coach, assistant football coach, English teacher, and assistant head of school. As a coach, he was able to help his players in many ways beyond the basics of the game of baseball, stressing the importance of academics over athletics, and coaching students in maintaining a successful balance between both. Brad also encouraged the importance of being a team player and fostered the leadership skills he witnessed in his players. His teams responded well, winning 62 games over a 3-year period and finishing with 145 victories in his 8 seasons as head coach. Additionally, Brad chaired several committees and was appointed as the Academy's assistant headmaster. Before, during, and after his time at Bridgton, Brad's work in the realm of athletics and education has been recognized with several honors and appointments to leadership positions in professional organizations. To name a few, these included a nomination for the LaFerrier Chair for Teacher Excellence, Bridgton's top faculty award, 20-year-long service on the New England Prep School Athletic Council's executive board, including as treasurer, vice president, and president, and an induction into Burrillville, another town in Rhode Island, Burrillville High School's Athletic Hall of Fame. In 2019, with 412 career victories under his belt, Brad made the decision to retire from coaching. For his remarkable contributions and career at Bridgton Academy, Brad Smith is being inducted into the Bridgton Hall of Fame. One personal story, I'm not sure if Brad remembers this story. For one thing, there are many people in this room that have tremendous stories about Brad. So if you ever want to hear him, I'm sure Whit could tell you great stories. Rick, Joe. Here's one from me, and I appreciate the fact your family is here. 2 quick stories. Brad was part of the team that interviewed me when I got here. I got out of talking with Brad. It was supposed to be 20 minutes. It was probably 45, give or take. I was okay with that. My wife Karen looked at me and says, "Do you think you got the job?" I go, "I have no idea, but I like that guy." The second story I would tell you about my daughter. Brad had an incredible love of dogs. Always had his dogs in the back of his truck. We were at a soccer game once. You had 2 dogs at the time. You had them connected. And my daughter Kaylee, she's about 5 or 6 at this time, looked at Brad and said, "Can I hold on to your dogs?" And Brad was like, "Sure, you can hold on to my dogs." As my daughter took the reins of both dogs, they took off at the same time towards the middle of the soccer field. And totally, totally dragged her across the entire soccer field in the middle of a game. Brad, the look of shock on Brad's face, I looked at him, I said, it's her fault. Now it's written. So my 6-year-old daughter now works here at the academy. Yeah, as a college counselor. So she still remembers those off. Congratulations, Brad. Welcome.
Perfect. And Mike. Awesome. Just you.
Thank you, David. Did you write that? Very impressive, huh? Keep that person in mind. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the current members of Bridgton Academy's Hall of Fame who may be with us tonight, as well as the group of current inductees. I am honored to be counted among you. And of course, I want to thank the committee for this incredible award. Not a good start. Okay. The good news is I'll try to keep my remarks as brief as possible. For those who know me will attest to the fact that it usually takes the jaws of life to get the microphone out of my hands. I make no promises, but I did tell Michelle that I'll keep my remarks as short as possible. I served as athletic director here for 19 years. In many ways, they were the most fulfilling of my personal and professional life. I had a lot of fine folks who had a hand in this along the way, from headmasters to deans, to coaches, to fellow faculty members, to staff, and most importantly, to the students. Needless to say, I had a lot of support. It's easy to work tirelessly for those who are working equally hard. There's an overused adage that says there's no I in team. But that pretty much epitomized much of what went on during my time here. I was simply a member of a team that shared a collective vision of moving this institution forward. At one point while I was preparing my remarks for tonight, I tried listing all the things I had a hand in, either directly or indirectly. Honestly, it was an exercise in futility. Suffice it to say, there were a lot of changes that were made, both physical and programmatic. Like any institution, Bridgton Academy has its own DNA, a long and rich heritage that has contributed to what it is today, and likewise has sown the seeds for what it will be tomorrow. And I'd say her best years lie ahead. In close, I truly believe I had the best job on campus. Not only did I love the job, but I had a deep and abiding respect that the role of athletics plays within this institution. I viewed myself as a steward. As such, the athletic department needed to be cared for, it needed to be nurtured, it needed opportunities to grow. And I can say without reservation that the department and this school received my undivided attention. My dear mother always told me that whenever I started something, make darn sure I'd leave it better off than when I first found it. I endeavored to do just that. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Brad. Congratulations. I'm delighted to now introduce this evening's final inductee, Mr. John Volkman, who unfortunately could not be with us tonight. And similar to Jean-Claude, you'll hear a little bit more about why that is. Arriving at Bridgton in the fall of 1953, John was eager to experience a successful postgraduate year to bolster his chances at earning a college acceptance. A successful year he had, not just as a basketball player, football manager, star of the school play, member of the Stranger staff, but also while earning straight A's. While attaining a college degree was one of John's top goals,
His next step was enlisting in the United States Air Force, where he served his country proudly for 4 years before his honorable discharge. John then joined Sylvania Electronics Field Engineering Division while working towards his undergraduate degree, which he earned with honors from the University of Denver in 1964. John's career then took him to the CIA, where he worked to develop satellite reconnaissance systems, and his work in the federal government earned him the National Institute of Public Affairs Award. From that time, John transitioned into the financial sector while also earning his MBA from Stanford University. Among many other things, John gained a breadth of experience in investment financing, real estate development, and tax affairs, which helped him to found and run 2 firms of his own. Despite retiring in the year 2000, John's remained active, giving freely of his time and expertise to many nonprofit organizations. In 2019, John returned to Bridgton Academy during homecoming, traveling the farthest distance from any attendee that year from his home state of California. That same year, John and the Volkman Family Foundation established the John E. Volkman 54 Scholarship, which is now awarded annually to a deserving young man. It was John's goal through this scholarship to level the playing field for students aspiring to attend Bridgton Academy so that they too could experience the year that makes the difference. John is being inducted into the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame in the contributor category for distinguishing himself in his 2 chosen professions and for his steadfast support of the Academy. While John is unable to join us today for this event, he did share some remarks, and I would like to invite Michelle Cross from the Office of Institutional Advancement to the podium to read these remarks that John shared. Michelle?
It's my honor to read these words from John Volkman this evening, and I think you'll hear a lot of common themes as I read through the words that he sent to us. Good evening and greetings to all gathered for the Bridgton Academy Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I sincerely regret that I can't be there in person to celebrate with the other Hall of Fame inductees and to thank the committee for this honor. My age of 86 and advancing Parkinson's no longer allow me to travel, but I assure you my gratitude is immense and crosses the distance from California to Maine. At age 86, I've reached the time of reflection and know that without a doubt, I've had the unanticipated ride of a lifetime with career, family, community, travels, and so much more. Not to say that my life has been so extraordinary, but it has so exceeded any dreams I had as that young man arriving at Bridgton that I've had to ponder how I got here. What I know for sure is that my Bridgton experience was pivotal, that a beloved aunt was responsible for getting me there, and that Headmaster Richard Goldsmith's personal encouragement made a difference. The backstory. I was born during the Depression and grew up during World War II and the Korean War. My father always struggled to find and keep jobs, so I attended 11 different schools in 11 years, and because we moved so often, no one seemed to notice or care about my just getting by attitude when it came to schoolwork. However, the beloved aunt saw something more in me and felt that I could do better if only I had a good learning environment. She decided Bridgton Academy was the right place and, at a significant sacrifice to herself, managed to gather the funds for tuition and sent me to Bridgton for my senior year. When I arrived there, I was content with being the happy underachiever, putting minimal effort into studies and just getting by. I had no particular athletic ability. My claim to fame was being a water boy for the football team. But I was happy with my new school, and being an unseen average student was just fine with me. However, that was not to be. Early in the school year, Headmaster Richard Goldsmith summoned me to his office and asked me one question. Did I want to be a higher achiever? I thought about it for a long time before answering and then said, yes. I was at least mature enough to understand the big sacrifice my aunt had made to get me there, and I knew I needed to do better. After I said yes to Mr. Goldsmith's question, He then described what I thought was a very rigorous study program and challenged me to stretch toward excellence. He said if I followed his plan, it would make a big difference. To myself, I thought, anyone who studies this much will have no life beyond studying, and of course their grades will improve, but at a big cost. However, something in the way Mr. Goldsmith projected confidence in me stirred a genuine interest in seeing if I could excel, and so began a turning point for me. Mr. Goldsmith was right. My grades rose, friendships grew, and by the end of the school year, I had gained a new confidence in my own abilities. Since that formative Bridgton year, life has presented many challenges and many thrills, many blessings and disappointments. But on balance, it's been a wonderful life, and Mr. Goldsmith's challenge of stretching towards excellence has been a guiding principle. I've had 2 satisfying careers, a wonderful family, a faith that has carried me through many difficult times, and 50 years in a community where I've enjoyed deep connections and a desire and ability to give back. My affection and appreciation for Bridgton and its ability to change a life has never left me. So, the honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame is deeply meaningful. Our family will continue to support Bridgton and its mission of helping students discover hidden talents, accomplish their goals, and just maybe, like for me, it will alter their path. My hope is that the school continues to flourish long into the future, providing the guidance and environment to inspire as it did for me. Thank you again for this honor.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm really glad that Michelle was willing to read those comments, because when John and John's wife sent them over, I admit I got a little teary-eyed, and I was like, I don't think I can do this, so thank you, Michelle. I'm going to invite Marty to the podium here to wrap up with a few final remarks, but I did want to share a couple quick things. When we do close, we would like all of the current inductees and the former inductees to remain so we can get some group photos with Jesse. And then one other announcement, a couple folks have asked, and Mr. LePage and I believe Mrs. LePage are going to have the school store open downstairs after this event. So if anyone's interested in visiting the school store, Mr. LePage, I think, is curious about how well he can conduct the cash register, so we'll see how that goes. And I will bring Mr. Mooney up to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. My remarks are going to be extremely short. If I could just say this, as I sit here, this is my 6th year at Bridgton Academy. I'm so grateful to have this event live and in person once again. It's an education, but it's more than that. I sit there and I see the joy, I see the gratitude, I see the pride of all the folks that come up here, and I sit there and I feel jealous. And one of the things I think I said when I interviewed here, Kevin, is said, well, why are you interested in Bridgton Academy? I said, because I should have gone to Bridgton Academy, and maybe the first couple of years of college wouldn't have been as rocky as they were, but I straightened out. But I love hearing the stories, and I love seeing all of our faculty from those days and beyond here tonight. And so, if the inductees, tonight's inductees, would you mind standing up to be recognized one more time tonight for a round of applause? I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope everyone is going to be able to stay and see the games, and tomorrow it's a wonderful day at the Academy. And any other housekeeping? Thank you very much.